And it's Ross Owen Williams. Now, Ross was in the studio with me earlier on this week, along with film director Dom Lenoir. Now, they've come together on this, originally planned to be shot abroad, but it's actually been made on Exmoor. I've seen the trailer, which you'll hear a bit of in a moment. It looks fantastic. And if you would like to see, I want to call this a local film really, but one that has already won about 11 film awards, then do go out tonight, because there'll be a Q&A with them at the end of the screening as well. And it's just a great opportunity to see a bit of Exmoor on the big screen, but also enjoy British cinema. So as I say, I sat down with Ross and Dom to find out a bit more about this story, as Ross talked me through what he wrote.
The story is about a detective, a young detective who's been emotionally compromised. His wife ends up in an accident and is in a coma, whilst he's trying to crack a case where a killer is, I guess, rampaging around and taking care of some people who are older. And as the story progresses, we learn more about what's going on, why this is happening, and we find that there is a reasonable chance that the detective's wife may be in danger as well.
Jack Dowling, Transvaal fishing.
2 bodies in 2 days. So they put it down to a heart attack. You look confused. Maybe I am.
Well, let's bring Dom in at this stage, who directed this. How long have you been directing in this sort of line of work?
About 10 years.
Okay, so what were your first thoughts when you saw this script?
I thought there was a lot of interesting drama elements. The Alzheimer's and dementia angle was really interesting to me, and also the opportunity to make a kind of a cinematic detective thriller. Because originally this was kind of penned for Canada, and then we kind of looked at making this a UK thing, but keeping some of those elements across, still keeping this sort of British feel, but also that kind of American cinematic detective thriller where everyone goes a bit more rogue and it's a bit more exciting than some of the things you sort of see. But the drama elements and the elements of grief going through Detective Barnes' character, who's played by Matt Hookins, that really interested me, as well as casting older actors, because I think that's something that's left out a lot of. And you get some actors that just have this wealth of experience, and you know, everyone in life, every family has people who are elderly, and some people have conditions that they're suffering with. It's often unrepresentative in film when they cut those kind of element of society out.
I love how you went from potentially filming in Canada to Somerset and Exmoor in this part of the wonderful world.
He had to talk me into that one initially, because I based it, when I wrote it the first time, it was based in the Allegheny Mountains in Pennsylvania, because that's an area I know fairly well. So what happened is, as time went on, Dom talked to me more and more about, well, you do realise we can do that over here. It's going to be a lot easier to film. It's going to be better to film over here. I needed some persuading, but in the end, I think having come down to this area and realising how beautiful the Southwest is, because initially when I started writing this, I was living in Berkshire, but since I moved to the Somerset area, 1, I couldn't go back, and 2, I realised just how fantastic this is for filming. And Dom's absolutely nailed some of the landscapes in here.
Easy decision then.
Well, it was. I mean, I scoured all across the UK for different places, and I just had a feeling that Exmoor might have the right kind of vibe. Cornwall's a bit too cobbled wall, sort of English farmery look. Quite well.
Bit too Poldark.
Yeah, exactly. Far too
Poldark.
Leave that for TV. Yeah, we wanted to go for cinema, and it had such a rugged and untamed landscape, and it kind of actually mirrors, in a strange way, Scandinavia or North America, which creates a visual element that's totally unique, and you can't find that anywhere else in the UK.
Mike Evans is usually in your group.
I can't really go into detail about what a patient says in my sessions, Detective.
This one? This one?
Oh, Mike, you're drunk.
Did you have a close relationship to all these people? I'm sorry, why are you here again?
Next time, call for backup before running after an armed killer.
Westlands Yeovil then, 7th of September, so that's Friday.
Yep.
Friday evening. Tickets still available for this.
6:30 p.m.
What do you hope people get from this?
Personally, I hope they enjoy it. I think that's the first and foremost thing. I've always said this with any piece of art I'm involved with. If people don't enjoy it, it could have the most poignant message behind it. But if people aren't going to go watch it, you're not going to get your message out. So first and foremost, if people walk out of there and think, okay, that was good, that's a win. I think beyond that, if they start thinking about their elderly relatives, they start thinking about how they're going to react as they age, And it turns people onto the idea that dementia and degenerative disease is not something that just happens to other people. It's happened to me. I know it's happened to Dom. I've seen people who have started encountering some of these symptoms younger than I am now. And it's alarming. And I think it's something that needs to have a bit more awareness raised around it.
This is the Somerset premiere, and I guess this is the premiere for your home now, really, isn't it? That must be a nice feeling.
It's going to be awesome. It's been a long time coming. I've spent the last countless numbers of years working towards this, and for Dom to have come on board when he did and to help move it through, and then for Matt and then all the actors to come in, and Mike McKell and Hannah Waddingham from Game of Thrones, and having Alan Ford, who was Bricktop in Snatch, on board, and these actors that I've seen on the television and being in the film and inhabiting these characters that once just stomped around in my head and that was all, is really quite humbling.
Go along and see it. Ross Owen Williams talking there, writer of Winter Ridge, the film premiere in Somerset tonight at the Octagon Theatre in Yeovil. A Q&A with Ross and also Dom Lenoir as well, who directed it, will be taking place. Tickets are £10, £8.50 for concessions, £5 for children.